Welcome to the Nitty Gritty, episode 108, Brent, right? We've got a powerhouse in here, people.
Get ready.
She's very kind. She yells at drivers. She has road rage. If you drive over 30 in a residential, you deserve to be yelled at, you bastard.
This is true. This is true. Yes.
We call her the king.
It's the first time
McKenzie
they've called me
Bauer, the owner and dominant force and founder behind the one, the only Thread wallets.
Yes.
Which we love in this place.
Oh.
My wife,
we
my
need to
daughter,
do some custom ones for Bam Bam.
Shut your mouth. Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, hey,
That's
look
an
at
old
that.
one.
That is an older one.
So I was introduced to Thread.
We call that vintage in the industry.
This is vintage. Jenna, my wife, got one at like a favorite things party.
Okay, cool.
And we didn't know it was a Utah company. And she used it for a while as like her vacation wallet because it was like small and compact.
Yeah.
And then I stole it.
Cool.
And
love it.
we've had it for years. So we love this stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
I got some combo sets. I did this whole thing for my, like what you've got, the keychain.
Yeah, I'm decked out. I've got the lip balm holder, the
AirPods.
I got it all.
And I did good. I picked out all the colors and everything. I went to the Stance Thread freshly picked warehouse sale. If you guys didn't go to that, dumb, bad move.
Yeah, it was pretty epic.
Awesome. And you guys do it. Don't you guys do it twice a year? Usually?
They've done it twice. That was our first time joining.
Okay.
So.
Well, you guys were a hot ticket over there. I watched.
Yeah, it was fun.
I hovered. I finally got some stuff. So anyway, well, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We've been chatting for like 30 minutes, right?
Yeah. This is so fun.
We'll release that for the subscription service.
Maybe that's how we'll make money.
Dude, trust me.
Oh, that's great. Like Masters of Skill. Have you heard that one? Yeah, they do
I love that one. You showed me that one.
Yeah, there's some people on that podcast.
We could charge good money for the pregame conversation.
Yeah.
We might lose family and friends.
I would probably get arrested.
Yeah.
Brent has a lot of dirt on me, like before the conversation starts. But anyway, thanks for coming.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
We're excited for this one.
Cool.
So Thread wallets. So let's just dig right into that first. How did that start?
Oh goodness. Okay, I've told this story a gazillion
I know.
times.
I told you the Bam Bam story though.
So
I said I did
make
it like
more lively because sometimes I'm like.
I normally tell that story kind of flat now because just like
you're like I've told it so many times.
But with you,
okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna
the king.
I talked about it like it was like my 40th time.
I like how we give people names like. Tristan became just Ikaika. Like he lost his first name when he came in here.
Tristan's the best.
You know,
the artist formerly known as Tristan Ikaika.
Yep.
Okay, Thread story. Okay, I'm gonna try to get like really hyped up on this. Give it to you.
So there
I was. No, you need to watch we just had an agency here in Utah do a video, like a long form video for us, so you can like see our whole story, and it's so creative and so funny. And
what made you want to do that?
Amazing.
Just because you're sick of telling it?
No, it's an ad. So we do it on YouTube and across social media platforms, longer form, and it's doing really well for us. So anyway,
origin story, Thread wallets origin story on YouTube.
Yes, it's really funny. So my husband Colby, who was my boyfriend at the time, moved. This is really cool. And he's really cool because he was able to do this. But he bounced back and forth between BYU Provo and BYU Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Because he played soccer and he's incredible. So good. And he was playing soccer at BYU Provo, team captain, just killing it. And this soccer coach from BYU Hawaii was like trying to find like the, stragglers to come over and play at BYU Hawaii. And
BYU's men's soccer team is kind of a weird.
Yeah, because they're not NCAA.
Right.
They're a club.
Right.
And this was when they were, I don't know how they are.
They were like professional back then. Right?
They were really good.
Right.
And yeah, it's a PDL league, so it's semi-pro. So my husband was playing there. The coach from BYU Hawaii came in, was trying to pick up soccer players, and Colby was like, I'm not doing that. And then he was like, but you can live in Hawaii. And my husband was like, I'm definitely doing that. Sign me up. So he convinced like 4 buddies to go out to Hawaii with him, and they did a semester. And that's when we kind of were introduced. And then...
So did he stop? I mean, was it like in the off season? Was it somehow different
off season.
times?
So because BYU Provo isn't NCAA, it's club, they play at a different time than any NCAA teams.
Okay.
So at the BYU Hawaii has gotten rid of all their sports now because it's not anything special. So he could do both. He'd go back and forth. So he was playing soccer here through spring, summer, and then that ended, and he went over for fall semester at BYU Hawaii. And any school treats athletes it's like, you want to come play for us? Like, great, we'll help you.
We'll make it work.
Even though like transferring stuff can get kind of hard. So he did that, and then he finished up fall semester and he moved back to BYU, and that's when we met and played another spring, summer here, and then moved back to Hawaii. And that's when we were married. So anyway, that's why we're going back and forth here, giving you some context. He was out in Hawaii. He just moved out there for his first semester, and this was in 2013. And like a total rookie, he kept his wallet in his pocket when he went into the ocean, and he lost it. Right. So lost everything, got out and was like, crap, I have to replace all my cards. And he was looking online after getting all his cards back for a wallet. And he, typed in men's wallets on Google, and all he saw was just like bifolds, bifolds, and like George Costanza type, thick
Velcro.
Yes, like
change
just
pocket.
Yes, totally.
Zip up pocket for your change.
You sit at an angle.
Yes, you like so he has to get like the
spine surgery after a few
napkins to like even it out in the cafe. So he was like, I don't need that. I have my driver's license, my student ID, and my credit card. So he went into the local grocery store and took a rubber band off of the broccoli clumps and used that as his. Yeah, they're thick, sturdy rubber bands. Wow. So he used that as his wallet holder.
Off of broccoli?
Yeah. Oh, so he was using that, and then simultaneously this really is like my husband's story until I come in a little bit later, but he was using that, and simultaneously he was taking an entrepreneurship class, and I can't remember if it was at BYU Hawaii or BYU Provo, but it was basically like how to get a Kickstarter campaign up and running within 24 hours. So he was spending a lot of time on Kickstarter and looking at what did well, and this is again back in 2013, so the platform was still really new, and Minimalist Wallets crushed it on Kickstarter, right. Like $400,000, $300,000. So he was like, there's obviously a need. Like, I want something smaller and more functional than these boring bifolds that I'm seeing, and bulky bifolds. And then he wanted something expressive. He loved companies like Stance Socks, Skull Candy. Neff Headwear was really cool at the time, or had been really cool with Sean Neff and what he'd done with beanies, and then building a lifestyle company off of it. So he was like, I think that there's room to do something like that with wallets. So he moved back to Provo after BYU Hawaii, and this is when we met. And we'd been kind of introduced at BYU Hawaii, but really started hanging out once we were both. I had graduated from BYU Hawaii, and we started hanging out, and he jokes that he was using me for my sewing machine because he was needing help sewing these projects. So
you should have kept your last name.
Yeah. Well, so this is why the video on YouTube is so funny.
That's what I was just laughing. That's why I had to shut it, because the ghost scene.
Yeah, the ghost scene. Yeah, it's pretty funny. He used me for my sewing machine. We got together, we're dating, hanging out, and we would sew these projects together in my bedroom with my sewing machine. And there's a line in the movie.
Yes. BYU?
No, this was it. I'm graduated at this time.
Okay.
So
not at King Henry. You're good.
This is my bedroom, my childhood bedroom. Like,
my
parents are down the hall.
Okay.
Right.
So, because I just moved back. I just moved back from BYU Hawaii and was trying to figure out like what I was going to do. Like, I just graduated. So I was in that in-between phase. And he had like a few different projects that he was working on, but we were sewing them together. And in the video, they make fun of it, saying that like my parents were like, what are they doing? And we were making wild, passionate wallets. And that's like, it's like so stupid, because it was like the most innocent thing. And my parents are totally the type to like, no boys in your room, Right. And like one time,
oh, I love this one.
Like, oh, that's
like, what
so
are they doing in there? Like, it has the poop emoji.
No, it did. So we're dating, and there was a local company, and I honestly don't know, this is terrible of me if they're still around, but they're called Beloved, and they did like crazy sublimated.
What was his name?
He was on Shark Tank.
Jeremy, right? Or
he
Jeremiah, something like that?
He drove around a car with watermelon seeds. Like, it was crazy. So he had a warehouse down in South Provo, and my husband found some white elastic at Joann's, and he was like, I'm just going to go see if I can figure out how to get like cool designs on this, because then that will open up like minimalist wallets with expression. And he went in, and the little worker there was, Colby says he must have been an intern, because he didn't even question Colby being there and being like, can I maybe even mess up your machine trying to figure out this works? And the guy was like, sure, go for it. So he did, and it worked perfectly, and it was the poop emoji. And he, you know, we always joke like
the poop emoji was like the first one created.
Yeah, the first created and
printed on the wallet.
And we, you know, when you like see documentaries and it's like, and then like, and that's when the door swung wide open, and it's like that's when the ball started rolling, and we're always joking, boy did it swing. Like this is the moment, like with this poop emoji, that this is like. But he came over to pick me up in his FJ Cruiser, comes over, and I remember him pulling it out of the little middle compartment and being like, look. And I mean, I was like 2 weeks into knowing this guy, and I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Like I'm hoping that he can we knew pretty quickly our story. We were engaged after 3 months of knowing each other and married 3 months later. So we knew pretty quickly that we were going to be, I know it was really fast, be together. And so it was kind of like, is this how he really is? Like, I'm really liking this guy. Is this how he's going to provide
poop emojis?
Yeah. But we started doing it together, and I was kind of like enamored with him. He was pretty
making
cool.
Making wallets.
Yeah. Making
Everybody.
wallets.
Settle down. Don't be nasty.
Yeah. So we started doing it.
You are feisty today. You are feisty.
And things kind of, and I guess you wouldn't say they started taking off then, but I started helping with like the social media, and I'd take pictures with him. And
so what was in either of your backgrounds to like get you to this, like to get you to this point?
Okay, really interesting question. Yeah. So I studied something completely different. I did international cultural studies with an emphasis in peace building. So really interesting. And
say that again.
Yeah. International cultural studies with an emphasis in peace building at BYU Hawaii. The founding, like David O. McKay, the founding, I guess if your listeners are familiar with Mormonism or LDS theology, he was the prophet at the time. Yeah. You better be.
You don't pay your tithe and don't even listen.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So his whole thing, like when he built the school, was like, this is going to be a hub for people to come and then establish peace internationally. Like this is going to be, because it's such a diverse, it's such a diverse community. There's over like 90 countries represented there. Yeah. And so the whole thing is like, come and learn, and then take what you learn back to your community and like build a better.
So where did that come from inside of you?
So personal reasons, I was like, this is really cool. Like it was really intriguing. I'd always been interested in like psychology and people. And so I got into the classes, and a lot of them were about like leadership and culture and how to resolve conflict. And that was really intriguing to me. So I did that, and then minored in political science, and was kind of thinking like, maybe I'll go to law school, do a master's in conflict resolution. But I say this, and I think people are probably kind of like, well, you're just saying that because you now own a business, like the Shark Tank thing. Like I've been doing lemonade stands since I was tiny, but I really like when I was like the nerdy, like hopeful entrepreneur when I was a kid. Like I would knit hats and be like, I could sell these for $5, and like just weird crafty things. Like that was me.
Were your parents entrepreneurs?
No, my dad is a financial planner, and my mom was a school teacher and stay-at-home mom.
How many kids?
There's 3 of us. So I have an older brother, me, and then my younger brother.
The middle
with 2 brothers. Yeah. So
brothers.
I just wanted to do something like I had told my mom like my whole life. I was like, my dad worked a lot, but he was around, like he was a really good dad and did a really good job at balancing it. But I was like, I would rather have my husband like do something that he's passionate about and that we can work together and have family time than have him be like a lawyer and doctor and I never see him. So I kind of had like always thought that I want to do something with my spouse. And Colby had always been entrepreneurial.
That is not what most people think. Like I want to work with my spouse.
No, I really had always was like, I wanted to do something with, I don't know. I think, and I don't want to dig up my parents because they're amazing and they're such a great couple together, but they kind of had separate lives. Yeah. Like my dad would go to work, my mom would stay home. He'd come home from work and it was like, how was your day, Greg? Oh, it was fine. And then they'd have dinner and my dad we had horses and mules and, and so he'd go take care of those and my mom would get us, and then they would do the same thing the next day. And I was like, they don't have...
That's really
anything. And I noticed that growing up and I was like, I hope that like my spouse and I have something that we do together.
How interesting that you noticed that.
Yeah. And that you were
so observant at a young age.
Before you were married, like setting those goals. Because that's kind of how, my house growing up, of course, they're divorced. So maybe that's why. But totally right. Same thing. Like, but my house is kind of the same way too, where, it's just such a separate thing. And sometimes I really do wish that Ashley knew more about like what was going on at the restaurant.
Yeah, and there's
I think that's
much.
Pretty cool.
There's just such a it's interesting. So I'm like, you're together and you have so many common goals, but then I felt like they didn't really know each other. Like really, they didn't take time. I think that's also maybe the time period. Like it was very much like men go to work, women stay home, and different. That's what their parents had done. And
plus he was a king.
Yes, plus he's a king. So anyway, I noticed that. And so I really wanted to do something with my husband. So Colby and I, from the get-go, I started helping him with this. And it was kind of like, what else are we going to do? Like, this is so fun. But he'd been entrepreneurial since he was a kid. He would go around, like when he was a little kid, to people's front doors and say, I will do like a front flip on your porch or off your porch if you pay me $5. Like he was just always doing things like that. And then
hilarious.
In high school, he wanted to start a t-shirt, or him and his buddy were coming home from a wakeboard camp and they were like drawing up t-shirts. Like, oh, it'd be so cool if we started like a brand called Wakeology. And they were like, yes, we're sick. And his dad was like, why don't you? So he was in high school and he was like, I don't know how to do this. And his dad was like, well, you should do it. So it was small, but he was in Arizona and got his shirts in like local skate shops. And
really?
Yeah, like pretty like cool. And then he in college developed an app he was really good friends with, because Garrett G from the Bucket List family played soccer with Colby. So he was like, oh, that's really cool that Garrett did that. So he started an app called Pick Play, which was like apples to apples, but on your phone, and quickly realized that tech is very expensive and very time consuming. And was like, I do not want to do tech. So he's kind of always been dabbling. And then when we met, I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not like super passionate about going to law school if it's not something I want to like do my whole life. And I really want to do something with my spouse. And so we got married and we moved back to Hawaii so that he could play another season of soccer. And we took, I think, like 1,000 wallets with us that we'd sewn up. And we'd done like most all of the production and all the stuff. Like we'd
cut up. How did you like source everything?
We did a lot of it ourselves.
Okay.
At the beginning, like we bought the printer, we bought like the heat cutters.
How did you know what to do?
YouTube and just kind of figuring it out. And I mean, I knew how to do like a straight stitch, right? Like I knew how to sew. And when for that bigger order, we found a seamstress here that helped sew all of them, because I was busy. Like we were busy planning the wedding, and then we packed everything up and moved the next day to Hawaii. So I didn't have time to do all that then, but we did most of it ourselves. We had some family come in and help when we needed to.
So what took you to BYU Hawaii originally?
I wanted to get out of Utah.
Oh, cool.
First I didn't get accepted to BYU Provo. Ugh. So, that was a thing.
Can't be a white girl from Utah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're out.
Thing. So that was part of it, but really it was like, I want to get out. I've lived in Utah my whole life. My family's very homebody-ish, and I was like, I would love to go somewhere else, but still have the camaraderie of people who believe the same things that I do. Right. So that was really fun. So I did all my undergrad over there, which is unique too, because a lot of people, especially people from Utah, go over for like a semester and come home. But I was over there for 3.5 years, which some of the best years of my life. Anyway, so my husband, Colby, and I, we moved back to Hawaii, and those boxes sat empty, not empty, but in the corner of our little apartment at Temple View Apartments, filled with cockroaches and stuff. They're not very nice. And they sat there till probably like November. And then we were like, we don't really want to go home for Christmas with all this stuff, because we were going to move. We were going to move back. And I just spilled my water just so everyone knows what just happened.
See how scared I was about it?
Yeah, but it's touching it got a little on your computer. It's just a tiny bit.
It's a unibody aluminum MacBook Pro, so we're totally good.
We're good. Okay, well, it wasn't a lot.
Apple Care, so I kind of want a new one.
I'm actually really surprised that didn't spill out more. We're good.
No, you're good.
Okay, so we moved. So all these boxes were sitting. We're like, we need to do something with this. So we started selling them at farmers markets, and they were flying off the figurative shelf. And it was really cool. And both of us were like, Colby had kind of felt like this is kind of stupid. Like it's just a glorified rubber band in essence, right? So
were you guys comfortable selling? Because a lot of times people like love the idea of like the invention, the conception of the product.
Yeah.
But then they don't like love that piece of it.
I hate selling now. Like I hate being in front of people. Like we just went to a trade show and I just like kind of want to sit in the background. But at the time I thought it was really fun.
Okay.
Like my strategy is just like find a way to compliment someone and like bring them in. Like anyway, so they started selling really well. So Colby was going to combines at that time over Christmas break and was pursuing professional soccer, and then his dad is a financial planner as well, interesting enough. And
what a boring industry.
Seriously.
So boring. So he was like, I could go work with my dad. I've got like offers to play professional soccer, and then I have this wallet thing. And we were sitting in my childhood bedroom because we moved back and we didn't have anywhere to go. So we were living in my bedroom with all of our wedding gifts around us. Like we had a tiny space of carpet to walk around, the sewing machine on the desk, like everything was in my bedroom. And, such good times. It was so crazy. And I remember sitting there and Colby was like, I am so done with soccer. Like all the guys playing soccer now they start professional like when they're 17 or 18. Right. And he was 25. And he was like, I bring leadership and knowledge and experience, but I'd play for 2 years and I'm done. Like it's not a long-term thing. And he was like, I'm so ready to pursue something that has long-term value for us.
So get on to the next step of things.
Yeah. So it was hard, but we were like, okay, let's do it. And we've got this idea. We've got 500 followers on Instagram. And
did you have like the name and everything, like a business set up?
Yep. So this was like Christmas time and we hadn't yet. Like we were kind of like, okay. And then we talked about it and we were like, let's do it. Let's give ourselves 6 months and see if we can make anything out of this. And if we can, then we'll continue forward. If we can't, then we'll pivot. And we were crunching numbers and we were like, okay, if we can do like 5 wallets a day. And we were like, 5 wallets, 10 wallets, like we can make that happen. If it's door-to-door selling these wallets, we can sell 5 to 10 wallets a day. So we established the LLC. It's like literally, I think the paperwork is January 1st, 2015. Like it's real. That's we started right then and we put together a Kickstarter campaign for the company and we launched that in March, I believe. And then we did 35,000 and then we launched our website like beginning of June after fulfilling all those orders. And all of this was out of my parents' house because we didn't have any income. Neither of us. I would babysit on the side and when he would coach soccer.
Okay.
So we had like a little bit, but we didn't have enough to pay for rent or anything. So
and were you making all of them by hand at that time?
Sewing them, printing them, pressing them, cutting the elastic. Like we'll probably have lung cancer from the heat cutter and it was like bad. Like our house in January, February, when we'd be making them, we'd have to open the doors to get a breeze in because it was just so many fumes. And we made them to order a lot of times. So we'd get like 5 orders online and it would be like 1 watermelon design, 1 floral design. And then he'd go down and he'd cut up the elastic and print it and do all the stuff and then bring it to me and I'd sew it. And so anyway, that is to that point how that went. And then we launched our website beginning of June, like I said, and it actually did really well. And then we closed out that first year with around like 140,000 in sales.
Dang.
So it was
how were you
really
marketing
cool.
that first year?
Instagram.
Just Instagram.
We didn't do it. Like we had no idea how to do online advertising. So it was like events or pop-up shops and Instagram and just hustling. And
did either of you know like anything about social media? Like were you active on it?
So I had like in the glory days of like blogger.com, I'd had a blog and I think I actually pinpointed this about a year ago. Why I like gravitated towards the marketing is what I studied was so rooted in people's narratives and understanding how to help people through conflict and understand each other. And that's what marketing is. Marketing is getting people to relate to something and to build a community. And that's what so many of my classes and my studies were about. Were like community building, bringing together people over a common idea or value. And so I think that's why I was drawn to like building the social media following stuff, because it was like I can pull people together over build a community over this. So that is where I focused, and my husband just kind of gravitated towards all the operational sides of things. And yeah, we finished that first year out and was really awesome because my dad was so skeptical of it. I mean, he's like an A+B equals C kind of guy. And every day he'd come home and we'd be like sewing wallets and Colby would be pressing them with this huge heat press. My dad would be like, making wallets again, huh? Like kind of like who? And my dad is like,
loser.
My dad is wrestled in high school, big hunter, businessman, like
mules and horses.
Like he is like farm cowboy. And when my husband asked for my hand,
sewing wallets in his daughter's room.
When my husband asked for my hand, my dad was like, "If you like ever hurt my daughter or don't take care of her, I will kill you." And I know my dad meant it. Like my dad, like he would make good on his word with that. So Colby was very much like, oh, and I think my dad was very skeptical. But that first year when my dad saw that, and it really was just like the two of us, he was like, okay, like I mean, that's more than a lot of people see. Sure. And so that was really cool and really fulfilling. So that is really the story of
for a lower priced.
That's what's really cool.
And like, they're all making them by hand.
Yeah. It was really cool.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of wallets that we were doing. Yeah, 144,000 overall sales. The two of us, and like our wallets were like $15, and that was the only product we had at the time.
Was the influencer thing? It wasn't even a real thing at that time.
That's why we were so lucky. Like we were so early. Instagram in 2014. When we kind of started, that's when we were like out in Hawaii and like doing the farmers markets and stuff. And we would ask people like, if you follow us, we'll give you a little discount. So that's when we started building the following. Instagram was 4 years old. Wow. So it was like so much easier.
Yeah.
It's so harder now.
The algorithm thing hadn't really kicked in yet, right?
No, that was like probably 3 years into business. So we were so lucky.
Was there like a moment or a person who either like super like did anything specific that first year, or was it just kind of like one sale at a time type of thing? You know, like was there a specific moment or someone came in with like a huge order that really made a
jump
difference?
To the next level?
Yeah.
You know, I think at that time it was just kind of like one order at a time.
Okay.
And then 2016 we started like doing more collaborations and giveaways and things. And we had a big order from Vivint.
Okay.
They actually ordered like a huge order of custom wallets for their sales team. And then Chubbies, if you know the shorts, they do like loud, outspoken. They put in
a kid. They've been around forever.
Yeah.
The stretchy shorts, right?
Yeah. They did an order for like, I don't know how many units, but it was a lot too. So both of those orders together, it was enough to get us out of, by that point we were living in a small 2-bedroom house and running everything out of the second bedroom. And that was enough to get us into an office.
Oh, wow.
And so those two orders were like game changers for us. And that was when also we were like, we cannot do the production ourselves anymore. Like that was probably like 5,000 wallets that we had to have both done, printed. Like the process is like print the paper, cut the paper on elastic, heat press it for a minute, and you have to cut the elastic first with a heat cutter. So that's it. And then you have to like sew it. So it was very time consuming.
Wow. So
that's crazy.
When was the first employee?
We have our first few employees kind of fight over this. Like who was the actual first? So my brother Ryan got home from his LDS mission in 2015. So like 8 months after we'd gotten married. And I think like technically he was probably the first, but he wasn't official. Like there was no document, you know, like we were paying him kind of under the table to help with the odds and ends. And then we hired Logan England, who's our e-commerce manager to this day. And he's an executive on our team now and has equity in the company. He started running our ads.
Okay.
So that was like him and Ryan
go back
and forth for like who was the actual first.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So when you decided to take production out of your bedroom, is that when you went like overseas to do something?
Yeah.
And how did you figure that out?
Okay, so what's funny is that early days, we did an order over in China and it came back and it wasn't perfect, but it was really close. But because it wasn't perfect and we didn't know any better, we were like, I guess we're just going to have to keep doing it ourselves. So we just kept doing it ourselves. And then 2016, I was pregnant with our first little girl, Ray. And I was like, we cannot have this in the house anymore. And I can't be shipping these anymore. Like, this is insane. So Colby started working with a local company actually to get things moving with overseas, but it was so expensive because our product, we don't have a high price point. So we don't have a lot of margin and room for like third party people.
Yep.
So it was like $3-4 for one wallet because there's so many middlemen. And Colby was like, we can't do this. Like, I'm going to figure it out. So he went back to Alibaba, started figuring it out, getting samples. And I believe it was the same factory that we originally used that we ended up working with again. But we just realized at that time that you just keep sending back samples and tweaking things until it's perfect. So that's how we did it. We just Alibaba.
You totally sound excited when you told that whole entire story, by the way.
That one wasn't excited. That part or like
no,
the whole story?
Just the whole thing.
Thanks.
Like,
well, because you
could
guys are
still
engaging.
see the emotion.
You guys are engaging.
Well, good. No, seriously, like, because I love it. I love when people, like, you talk about your college degree, which I guess you did have a point where you used it.
Yeah.
With the marketing thing. Mm-hmm. But it is so funny that people go to school and then they start a business in their bedroom.
Yeah, it's not funny.
Sewing their own wallets. Like,
right? So funny, yeah.
And so it's like, you almost wish we could start some sort of like entrepreneurial, job corps type thing where it's like, you don't have to go to college, but just come over here for a year and we will teach you how to start your own business.
Yeah.
Like, how cool would that be?
Oh, it'd be so cool. We talk a lot about that, actually, especially because I feel like the traditional route of college just doesn't work for everyone.
It's
weird.
Just a criminal organization. That's what it is.
I think there's a company that's going to be doing that soon.
Oh, yes, it is. I think Susan Peterson's on the board.
I think she is.
Well, there's like, is it tangible?
The owner is building a huge mansion.
You're so stupid.
Wait, this guy right here?
Remember I said he has 9 companies?
Oh, yes, that's one of them.
Yeah. This isn't your podcast, though, Andrew, okay?
Wait, I do want to hear
This is the King's podcast.
We'll talk about it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Great.
It's actually, it's amazing.
Cool.
But yeah, it is. It's just tell her what it is. Just tell her what it is.
Give me a brief.
It's an online education company.
Cool.
So we'll start with financial literacy and then work into job skills and entrepreneurship.
Kids,
love it.
In
love
school,
it.
like learning stuff that none of us learn, which is so amazing.
Life skills.
Anyways,
so where'd the name Thread come from? Because I hate naming companies. It's like the bane of my existence.
That one was actually so easy. People ask about the logo and stuff. My husband was looking at his pants and noticing how the stitches come together, and it looked like this. That's our logo. And then it was like Thread. Like we have,
but yeah,
we use thread. Like it's all like elastic. Like most wallets are leather.
Right.
So yeah, with Thread wallets. That's awesome. And then we're trying to drop wallets. It'll take time, but
I just looked at the bifold ones. I'm like, they're all sold out.
Oh gosh, yeah. Thank you,
awesome.
Thank you, COVID.
COVID,
yeah.
Suck.
Vietnam is like shut down again, and that's where our factories are now. And yeah, it's been a nightmare. But when we get more in stock, I will get you some.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
So what was the thing that most surprised you that first year?
That's a great question. Probably that we were able to make more than $100,000 with a $15 price point item.
Yeah, that's great.
Without like ad spend or anything at that point. That was crazy. Like even looking back at that, I'm like, I don't know how we did that. And that we didn't have any employees. Like it was really, I mean, I don't want to discredit the help that we received from family or friends. Like my mom would help cut the papers and things. But yeah, that is really surprising to me.
So like at that time, did you have a vision of where you thought this could go? Or was it, I just need to get the order done that's in front of me?
I think it was that. Because Colby and I were talking about this the other day. Like, could you ever imagine that it would be what it is now? We've come in on the Inc. 500 twice, 2 years in a row now. We have 38 employees. And
well, like how many product SKUs do you have right now?
Oh my gosh, we have a lot.
Like so many.
So I'm like, I don't think I had hopes that it would turn into something more than just selling a wallet and packaging it. But I think it was just so focused on like every day getting our to-do list done and like taking care of the shit that went along with running your own business that there wasn't much time to think large scale on like what it could be.
Like, yeah, it's so fascinating. So many of these big businesses and brands, they're starting simply like this. I was at lunch with a kid today, and you kind of lose track, or you start comparing yourself like, oh, if I'm going to build this company, I need to have this type of organization,
right,
and do all these things. But almost all of these big businesses, well, not only that, but they start with not that as the goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
the goal is, I want to make a wallet. I want to go to Target.
Yeah.
I want to buy this.
Yeah.
And that's how.
I don't want a real job.
Yeah, totally. I think those were like the first real thing. The first problems were like, we don't want a real job. Like we had a problem, like legit problem. Colby needed a new wallet. And I actually, like when I started using it, I was the one that told him to put the key ring on it because I hate carrying around a purse.
Right.
I'm not a purse person. So it was like a real solution for me and a real solution for him. So there was the problem. And then it was like, we want to work together and we don't want to work for anyone else.
Right.
And now it's become like, we want to become the go-to brand for all things carry. So anything carry items. Okay. So that's, it kind of morphed. But yeah, there's in those first years, you kind of only have to focus. You have to focus on what's right in front of you.
Well, yeah. How many people, because I know in my space, like in the restaurant world, that's kind of like the kiss of death is people want to be too big, too quick.
Yeah.
They think everything has to be just so.
Yeah.
Which, if you're doing like 5 fine dining and stuff like that, it's a little different, but it's crazy how many people will spend. I mean, I opened this place for $45,000. Like,
yeah.
Most people spend $250,000 because they think the light fixtures have to be. So I think
minimal viable product.
You
just have to get something out, and then it turns into something more.
I have no idea what that means, but yes, I totally agree.
Minimum MVP. It's
come on, Cam, this.
What are you talking about? MVP? Like I got that in T-ball.
Yeah, just like the most basic stuff. Right. I think a lot of people are so worried about having it. When I talk to other business owners, it's like, well, I don't want anyone to steal my idea, or it's not perfect yet. And it's like, it doesn't need to be perfect.
No.
We've made so many different changes and iterations of our product over the years to make it better. And then we've added other products to complement it. And it's so different than what it was.
Well, it's like
step by step.
What's the first thing they always ask? What are your sales?
Yeah.
Like if somebody goes in like, well, we just barely launched this month. Like we have this great idea. And they're just like, we don't care. You have zero value to us. Like start, sell, and then build from, what you bring in. Right.
Yeah, totally.
And so
you need that feedback.
Right.
Has there been like a pinch me moment? Like one of those things where like, I can't believe like this is happening.
There's been a lot of cool things. Like the Inc. 500's been cool. Those like the awards are cool and fun, and the like goals, the revenue goals.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest pinch me moments are things with our team members.
Okay.
Like it's like so cheesy, but it is the best. Like nothing makes me happier in business than when I hear one of our employees say that they love working at Thread. Like when this is their dream job.
Yeah.
Like that is better to me. I don't care how much money we're making. If we were making $50,000 a year and someone said that, I'd be so like stoked.
Yeah.
Like, of course you have to be making money to keep everyone in business, but that is like we do customer feedback surveys and stuff. And when you go through the result or the people's responses, it's like, that's the pinch me moments for me, I think.
That's cool. Have you had do you guys do a lot of collaborations with other brands?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bam Bams.
We need to.
Coming soon.
Oh my gosh.
Wouldn't that be?
I think if Hamilton was on the front of it.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait.
Is Hamilton the pig?
It's the pig out front. Yeah, okay, we call them hams.
That needs to happen. Yeah, we've done some big ones. A small part of our business, but it is an awesome part of our business, is we do custom work for corporations. So we've done stuff for like Chick-fil-A, Coke, Vivint, Google, and they'll just order
companies.
Yeah, these really small companies.
There's a lot of local startups.
But we'll do stuff for like schools too, high schools, where they'll be like, oh, we want to have them for our students this year, so they'll get their colors and their logo on it and give it out as swag.
There's part of our swag for our high school students.
There you go. Yeah, so those are cool collaborations. Yeah. But a lot of those aren't public facing as much because it's their product. Like once it has their branding on it, I mean, we have our brand on there too, but we've done some really cool ones. We just did one with Brixton. We have, I don't think we've really talked much about it like publicly, but we have one with Cotopaxi coming out.
Wow.
We have done some with influencers. Like we just did one with Summer McKeen. She's like a ridiculous following on social media. I don't know how people keep up with all of that, but
I haven't posted
it's
since
crazy.
June 8th on Bam Bam.
I'm surprised that you actually know the date though.
Well, it's because I just looked the other day because of how bad it's been. Like it's been the summer of burnout for me. We can also talk about the hours I've spent in the restaurant this summer.
Social media can be like the last thing you want to do. It takes a lot of work.
For me, that's totally
I think people are like, oh, social media is easy. You just post a picture. Like, I wish I could build a following. And it's like, no, you don't know.
You don't.
Well, I think it's generational. I think, how old are you?
29.
Wait. Hold on a second. You're only 29 years old?
I'm only 29. Do I look older?
It's not that you look older. You just have like a very old school way about you.
Oh, well.
Does that make sense?
That's
like,
good.
It is. You're like kind of an old soul. Yeah. Like
I grew up on the Eagles and like REO Speedwagon. Like that was my first concert was REO Speedwagon Sticks.
Parents, strong parents.
Yeah. My dad took us to ZZ Top for family.
OMG.
Isn't that awesome?
I love your parents.
Yeah, they're great.
They're the king.
They're really great.
He's the king.
They're really great people.
Seriously, how cool is that?
My dad cried when Glenn Frey died.
I know. I was so sad about that. I was just listening to that yesterday. It's like Don Henley's cool, but
Glenn Frey.
Just something
Take it
about
easy.
Glenn Frey.
Yeah, I grew up on that stuff.
Glenn Frey seemed like the everyman. Like Don Henley seems kind of like a douche.
Yeah, I think he might. Well, I think together they were kind of douchey. Have you watched the documentary?
Yeah, I kind of liked it.
I know they're a little.
That's kind of where I formed that. Well, and you should be right. You're a rock band from the '70s.
Yeah. Oh, they're so.
See,
great.
but you totally are an old soul then.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
You're 29.
29.
So you started this. I mean, early 20s then.
Yeah, Colby and I got married when we were. I was 22. So yeah, coming up on 7 years.
Welcome to the Church of Jesus Christ.
I know.
Like, you got married when? Like we're in Utah, people. Oh, okay.
3 months. Yeah, it's crazy. I will never let my daughters do what I did, but
it
worked out.
Why do we always say that? Like, I'm not gonna let my kids do that.
Your daughter will get married when she's 19.
Oh.
Yes, cursed yourself. But
both of them.
You're 22. So I married my wife. She was 21. I was 26. But
Jenna was 19.
She was. Oh, jeez. And you were like 31.
Like I think that people.
Well, you're mature though. Like that's what I'm saying. Like you have just the fact that even before you were married, you're like, I would like to find a profession that I can work with my spouse. So we don't have separate lives. Like what kid is thinking about that stuff? So I mean, 22 is not. It sounds young, but 22 is very different for a lot of people, right?
Yeah. Well, I think my husband and I's biggest thing is that some like age and time, because we were married very quickly, but our thing is like experience over time.
Sure.
Because you can know someone for 10 years, but say you just work with them, so you only ever see them in the cubicle next to you. Like how well do you actually know that person? Yeah. But in the 6 months we were like together before we got married, in my bedroom, like we really got to know each other. Like
I'm sorry.
Biblically,
so funny.
in the biblical sense, like get to know each other.
The video she
it's
was
awesome.
talking
You
about
need to go watch it.
So
it gives context.
Funny. Oh my gosh.
But he like broke his wrist and didn't have family near, so I had to take. That sounds so trivial, but that had to help take care of him with that. And then his mom is an addict and was in jail for when we got married, so there was a lot of things like that we had to bond over and help each other through. So I think with like experience, and then for me being 22 and getting married, I'd also experienced a lot. I'd lived out of Utah. I'd lived abroad for a summer. There were different things that I feel like maybe kind of sent me forward. I don't know.
Totally.
But it was cool.
Well, and good parenting.
Yeah,
right. I mean, that's all part of it. So that's interesting. ZZ Top.
ZZ Top. Yeah. Also had been in a really shitty relationship for 2 years. And so I like knew exactly what I wanted because I'd had a really bad relationship.
Well, it's interesting that like you talking about Colby wanting to play pro soccer at 25, like not a lot of wives would be too into that. Like,
oh, I was sad when he hung up his cleats. I was because he's so good.
Well, and
that's so good.
That's cool. See, it's good to be supportive, and you were so young, so it's like have a little bit of fun, right?
Yeah, totally.
Wow,
totally.
You guys are way ahead of the game.
How do you think, like, or did being in Utah, like the entrepreneur environment here, did that help? Has that helped Thread, do you think?
The best. Like, it is the reason for our success, I think. We love Utah.
I don't think people realize it, but like the entrepreneur environment and like the camaraderie, everyone willing to help, I think is so huge.
Especially for female entrepreneurs, I think.
Amazing.
Like I think in a lot of places it would be so much harder, but you have so much access like very close by to just amazing.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any local like people that you would consider mentors?
Yes. Susan Peterson, who's been on the podcast, when you were saying like camaraderie and stuff, she is one of the first people.
Godfather.
Well, I remember we reached out to her and she was like, come over to our office when she was in the office that we're currently in. We're in Susan's old office. So yeah, Utah is so great. People are so helpful and willing to like spend time, at least everyone that I've interacted with. And I've been really, really grateful for that. But yeah, Utah, I think also because especially Utah Valley, we're right in the middle of 2 universities. And so it was cool because we would literally see people buy here from us, and then we'd start seeing these little pockets pop up in other areas around the country. And this was before Facebook advertising. And so my only assumption was that it's people were here from Minnesota or Arizona or Oregon, and they'd take it home for their families for Christmas or whatever. And so it was cool. And I think that really is a big part of the reason why we had the success. And Mormons are so homogenous that it's like, it just, if one person picks up on it, it just
You mean
spreads.
members of the Church of Jesus
members
Christ?
of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
I hate it.
It's so long. It's so long.
Oh, I know. It's so rad. When did you guys decide to enter or like, what was the word? I just lost it. Introduce like new products. Like when did you decide like, okay, we're going to stop just our core wallet?
Yeah. Can we pause really quick so you guys can cut? Sorry. I have
Is he failing?
No, he's not failing. My oldest is at preschool right now, and
If you have to go, we can stop.
No. Okay, we're good. Awesome. No, there's an after school program. So I've asked if she could stay to the after school, but then the preschool teacher was like, no one else is staying. So we don't know if we need, it's like just one kid staying. I'm so sorry. This is the nitty gritty. This is the nitty gritty though of my life. This is figuring out babysitters and nannies. That's what being a woman in a business is.
And I'm glad you said that. We're keeping that in.
Yeah,
right?
We're not cutting that part because that's so important.
Because that's real.
Acknowledge.
That's
talk about.
Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about it in here a ton. That's what makes this so many female entrepreneurs now. It's such a cool thing because the talent of being a mom it totally carries over.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we all whine about, we as in men, right? Just like dealing with stuff at home like you just did. Like I would totally, because with men, it's like we get the box out, we open the box, we do whatever we're doing, we close the box, put it away.
Yeah.
Then we go to our next box.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I've got the babysitter over here, cooking over here, thread wallets. Like,
I know,
transfer money over here.
Always.
And it's a gift.
I am like a
business.
chicken with its head cut off a lot of times, just running around.
Right.
Like,
yeah, but your brain was built to do that. Like I just watched the Tony
thank you.
Robbins
You guys
thing.
are so
All
kind.
about it.
I could sit and
All
talk
about
with
it.
you for 2 hours. You're very entertaining and
Well, thank you.
hours
We are
on
pretty
end.
fun. But
Entertaining
you're fun
and very
too.
kind.
I still can't
Thank
believe
you.
you're only 29 years old. Okay, so you did say something earlier that maybe I didn't hear the rest of it, but you said you're phasing out wallets.
Oh, you asked about products. And
Yeah,
then,
and that's
okay, well,
kind of wanted to tie that in. 'Cause
Phasing
it's
out
like-
wallets, and you asked about products. So we started, our second product that we launched was a lanyard.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually, my husband and I got in a pretty big argument about it because I was like, lanyards, that's so dumb. Like lanyards. And like, who's going to buy a lanyard? Like everyone has a free lanyard. But what we noticed is that most all of the customers that we saw in person, like at the mall or at shop, like pop-up shops or whatever, they would get it and they would attach it to like their keys that were being held by an old lanyard that they got from high school or shoelace or something from like a random convention. I was just at a state fair in Alaska and I got like an army one, like an old crappy lanyard. And my husband was like, if people are using lanyards with the wallet, like why can't we make the lanyard for them? So it was like a no-brainer. So we did. We launched lanyards that match our wallets. They hook onto it because our wallets have a little keychain, and they're our best-selling product now.
Your lanyards
The
are?
lanyards are.
Really?
Yep. So that was like the next product, and then we wanted to release a more elevated. So we did like the bifold and the leather wallet that has elastic on the sides that reached like a different
all sold out.
audience. I know. Don't remind me. It's so devastating.
Dude, stupid Vietnam.
Yeah, Vietnam and the shipping containers in California, all the messes that COVID has
I
brought.
forgot about the California
Yeah,
port thing.
Yeah, the shipping containers,
Wild.
all the stuff. It's just like this year's been worse than the COVID year for us. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But that is how we've kind of step by step. And then chapstick holders, everyone was like sticking their chapstick in the elastic pocket or asked for it. So we launched it, and now that's like one of our best selling products too, which is kind of fun to see.
I gotta get some shine thread things going on.
Well, it's really funny because they're products that I think a lot of people say, and this sounds cocky, like, I wish I would have thought of that, because they're just so simple and they're like so easy. And so it's kind of fun to be like, oh, we've created a business off of these little kind of tchotchke like lanyards and chapstick holders, but they're fun. Anyway, so phasing out thread wallets is we want to be more than wallets. So we have crossbody bags now. We're designing and developing like a really cool backpack and hopefully get into like laptop cases and duffel bags and stuff at some point. So more like Herschel, if you know Herschel, but mixed with like Vans. Because Herschel's a little too like travel-y and like sophisticated, kind of
too formal,
and we want to be a little bit more like action sports, expressive, funky. So anyway, just kind of making that change, and everyone refers to it as thread anyway. Like,
so not getting rid of the wallets, just
the wallets will still be there, but the wallets is in the word, like, because our company is registered as Thread Wallets LLC.
Okay, now
so we are getting the trade.
Getting rid of the original product.
Yeah, we're there. We don't need them anymore. No. Keeping. We're always going to sell wallets as long as
we're just moving
physical cards, but and everyone refers to it as that for the most part. Like, oh, how's thread going? How's this? Like, oh, I got a new thread. Like.
See, that's the thing at that sale. When my wife found out you were there, she's like, lanyard was the first thing she said. It was like lanyard, chapstick holders. Like, wait, what? Yeah. And you could match all these things. Like,
I know.
It is. It's really crazy. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like athletes have been using lanyards for years. What is it about? You know what I mean? Like, you go play ball and you just throw it on.
It's because you didn't have pockets. Your basketball shorts didn't have pockets or didn't have zippers, so crap was falling out.
They're handy.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Wow.
I love mine. I mean, I'm biased, but I do use it every day.
Well, but that's the thing is sometimes when you own it, you get sick of it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you do use it means...
Do you ever get sick of your barbecue?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Totally. But if I eat it, like I ate it for lunch today, I'm like, that just means it's really good. Like,
yeah.
Because it's free for me, but still, it's like... But... To me, that says like there's a function to it too. Like you're not just carrying it because it's your company.
Oh, it's very personal.
You don't like purse it. Like this is how you like to carry your things.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, maybe in my head it makes sense, but
well, thank you.
Maybe it's not coming through on the mic, but
it is coming through.
It serves a purpose for you more than just saying it's my company, so I have to use it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I keep looking at the AirPods case because I use one of those too now, and it's amazing. And your phone cases look amazing too.
Yeah, they're awesome. So. The phone case has been a really finicky product, though. We can't get
interesting. Why is that?
For whatever reason, the elastic stretches out more. I think because people, when they pull out their cards, like this, can grab from the top or bottom.
Yeah, you can just like push them almost too.
And so the elastic always stretches out more than we'd hope, but we're working on it.
When you're coming with a new product, how many like failed attempts do you have before you actually get to like your end product? Or secondary question, how many product ideas have you had that haven't made it to like your production line?
That's a really good question.
That would be hard. Like you probably have especially where you want to be like the carry, like anything you carry, like
like it could be a lot of different things.
What makes it through? How many can you work on at a time? Like designing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There have been most products that we have discontinued, we made them, like, it's just easy. Our product and our supply chain is pretty easy. It's not like a complicated thing. So for the most part, if we have an idea, we can kind of just throw it together and do a small order and test it. And if it doesn't work, we just drop it.
Okay.
Things that haven't worked for us, like we did like branded t-shirts, like stuff that was like totally just didn't have anything to do with our core line, and those have just sat on the website forever. Like pins, a lot of like accessory things that we thought would be cool, but in terms of like products, we haven't really. We did a stick-on wallet that stuck on the back of the phone case, but that was kind of the same thing. Like we launched it didn't perform as well as we'd hope, and we have the phone case, so it's kind of like we already have two products competing for each other, which was silly. But in terms of like product expansion and what we want to do, right now our head is kind of just focused on that backpack. It's kind of like we have received no outside capital. And so we have to stay really lean with what we're working on and developing and like what's in the pipeline.
Yeah. Is your end goal to like build this empire that kids will step into? Or like, would you rather like be acquired and start something else? Like the entrepreneur bug, is it starting to tick up?
Well, that's a very hard question to ask because part of us want to have something to do with Thread for as long as it's like, we want to build a brand that's here to stay. Like we don't want to just be something that comes and goes. And I think we've positioned ourselves, like we have a good following, we're growing, like things are really going well. So I'm hoping that it can be around for a while. And I think that we'd like to be a part of it to some capacity for a long time. Yeah. But we do want to have some sort of exit too, because liquidation event, because everything of ours right now is tied up in the business. It's like what we've invested everything in. So that would be nice. When it comes to like the future plans, yes, we want to start other things and invest in other things. Right now we're working on, my husband in particular is working on developing. So our slogan is carry on, which speaks to the products because they carry your products. And then it also speaks to this mindset of like progression. And we do a lot with like skaters and surfers. So moving forward after falling down. So that's our slogan. And my husband, I mentioned this earlier, but his mom has dealt with addiction and been in and out of rehab and jail for his whole life. And then his dad's also dealt with addiction and substance abuse, and mental health issues run rampant in his family with eating disorders and suicide. Wow. So we're working on, we just filed for a 501c3 and we're establishing the Carry On Foundation.
Very cool.
So it's going to be a foundation that helps kids cope with stresses and anxiety through action sports. So like skate camps, we're going to open like an indoor skate park here in Utah, which will be like the first indoor, or like not the first, but one of the first, because skating in the winter months isn't accessible for kids here. And it's an inexpensive sport for kids to get into. And my husband, that's been his coping mechanism when he's like feeling really stressed and dealing with all these really crazy things. So that's kind of where, if we did have a liquidation event where we exited Thread, we would hope to stay on with the foundation and be like the board, be there, like the president there. You
guys have a mini skate park in the office, don't you?
Yeah, a little ramp.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't skate it, but my husband loves it. He's there. He skates it every day.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And we got in an argument about it because, again, I was like, what? This is not necessary. He's like, but people in the office skate and it's good for mental health. And I'm like, well, a Peloton would be really great for my mental health. And I know everyone in the office could use that. And he's like, no, it's different. But it's really become for us.
Skateboard decks I could buy with the Peloton money?
Yeah, I know.
300.
So he won the battle and we have it, but it's really become like a symbol in our office of like making sure, because he'll stop in the middle of the day and take breaks and like go skate and stay after and skate, and
especially if that's their target market now.
Yeah, so it's been really good for our team, kind of show them the symbol of like, you need to take care of yourself and like your habits or your hobbies and stuff like that.
So is that something that you guys kind of actively look out for? Because I mean, the type of stuff you're talking, addiction and mental health, like that stuff's hereditary. Like, do you guys talk about it? Do you? Like,
yeah, very much so. Yeah,
I'm
on medication for it. I got medicated after our daughter Ray was born. She's our oldest, and it's just been a game changer for me.
So cool that you talk about it so openly.
And my husband just got on the same medication Colby did in like July, and it has been a game changer for him.
Wow!
Like, so he's a completely different person in terms of his stress levels. Yeah. And so, yeah, we talk a lot about it. And then in our office, we have, with our team, every year, people on our team can establish the goal how they want. Like, they can do it quarterly or they can do it yearly, but we do the Carry On program. So they all have a goal that they have to work on, whether it's like health or fitness, or a new hobby they want to develop. So one of our team members like was going to run a triathlon. She just got pregnant, so that's changing. But that was her goal. And then another team member is like growing a garden. So we try to do a lot within the workplace too, to like talk about it and like make sure that every quarter, like we're checking in with our employees, like how are you doing mentally, like how are you doing with your goals?
Sheesh.
How are you? It's
You're
really
so
cool.
wise.
So wise.
It's really fun.
And it's cool to like. I mean, what a great way to connect with your staff. I mean, to really build a connection.
Yeah, it's cool. We have a banquet every quarter with like an award ceremony kind of thing where we celebrate their achievement and what they're working on. So we try to make sure that the conversation around mental health is really open within our public life, but then also in our office with our employees.
Good for you guys. How many employees do you have?
I think it's 38.
Holy crap.
But some of those, I feel like I have to clarify because we don't have 38 in our office. We have 3 kiosks.
Right.
So we have one at University Place, Fashion Place, and then one at UTC in San Diego. And so at all 3 of those locations, there's about 5 or 6 employees that work there. So they're not coming into the office and like working on the brand and like the development of the company necessarily, but they're key to our growth because that's a channel that we're really pushing.
Right.
But so there's like 22 that are in the office.
Wow. So like what percentage of your sales now are online compared to like as you're going other ways?
The kiosks and...
I could not give you a direct
like,
answer off the top of my head.
Is it transitioning more?
So yeah, started e-commerce native. So that was like where we were. And then we've been really pushing owned retail. So that's our kiosk. And we're going to continue to scale that. And then wholesale as well. So we're in probably like 1,500 stores.
Yeah.
Nationwide. And then like in territories like Puerto Rico and some of the Caribbean. And then we're hoping that one of our next big initiatives is international with Canada and Australia. But so we have our D2C, so our website and Amazon, and we count those as e-commerce.
And direct to consumer.
Yeah, D2C. Yes, there you go.
Or the Doctrine and Covenant. Whatever. Either one works.
Yeah, either one are really great for my personal life. Yes, those 2. So our website, Amazon, wholesale, retail, and then custom, which I mentioned. That would be like the custom wallets for companies. Custom swim. Yes. Yeah, we really do.
We really, really have to. Swatcho party, and then we'll design it.
Yes. Yes, that would be
I've done many Swatcho parties in that building.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a great building.
You
really need to come see it.
Do all your employees have space heaters under their feet as well, like Susan's?
No. But that building
it's cold.
Yeah, it can get cold or it can get hot.
That's the thing. I walked in there in the winter for a Swatch party. It was 600 degrees in there because every woman working in there has a space heater under
Most
their
of our
desk.
employees actually just bring blankets. Like if you come in the winter, people just have like blankets around them.
It's like, Susan, your electric bill is going to be out of control.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Oh, jeez. Well, what a great story. We love having you on. We got to get you back in here with your husband.
Yes.
Yeah, get Colby back.
Yeah, Colby's got to come in here too.
Yes, he would love it. He would love to be here.
I mean, so of everything that you've talked about, because it sounds like there's some things coming up.
Yeah.
Like you personally, what are you most excited to like design and launch? Like what product coming up? Do you have one that you're like most excited about?
I think the backpack will be really cool because that's like a really
backpacks.
It's a step in. That. I mean, we've designed a bag and that's been really great, but it will be interesting to see if it takes. Like if we can really step into a category. That's a really competitive. Like we've really but the design looks really good. Like it's going to be really pretty.
Do you have a designer?
Yeah, we have a chief brand officer who came from Stance. So he's great.
Really?
Yeah, he's great. We love him. And he's got a little team and we've got help with our supply chain company that helps us. They have a guy that is also really talented with that. He came from like JanSport and I think it is. So he knows his way around backpacks.
Okay.
I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Holy crap. I probably buy 2 backpacks a year.
Really? That's cool. That's good for us to hear.
Carhartt.
Okay.
I really like this bag, but there's still some things I would change about it.
Okay.
But
my favorite bag is my Nomadic one that I have right now.
Oh, Nomadic, they do. Yeah, they do it right. They do it right.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Well, man,
cool.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I could talk to you guys for so much longer. This was so fun.
We'll do a little
we'll have to do it again.
We'll do some Swatcho parties.
Yep.
Perfect.
And we will talk about the Bam Bam's wallet.
I love how I always say yes when you offer food. I'm like, we will.
We will do that. I'll be there. Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Well, thanks for coming.
Well, thank you guys.